The Kansas City Chiefs are once again in the headlines, but this time the news is more than a routine update. A revelation has surfaced that has stunned fans, analysts, and rivals across the NFL. It concerns a key figure within the organization, someone whose actions have ignited intense debate about professionalism, accountability, and the standards expected in modern football. For years, the Chiefs have been admired as a model franchise, balancing talent with discipline. This revelation, however, disrupts that narrative. It is not only about the individual involved, but about how the team as a whole responds to adversity. Every great franchise eventually faces a moment that forces reflection, and Kansas City has reached such a point. What happened is not simply a headline. It is a reminder of how fragile reputations can be, even for teams at the top. The shock rippling through the NFL demonstrates how quickly fortunes can change, and how a single revelation can redefine the way a dynasty is viewed across the sporting world. At the heart of this story is a figure whose name is inseparable from Kansas City's success. His contributions to the franchise are undeniable, shaping victories, championships, and unforgettable moments. Yet his recent actions have forced the league and its fans to see him in a different light. Football celebrates both talent and character, and when questions emerge about the latter, reputations suffer. This revelation challenges the image carefully built over years, raising concerns not only about his choices, but also about the pressures of sustaining excellence. The NFL is unforgiving in its spotlight, magnifying every move made by its stars. For the Chiefs, the challenge now lies in balancing loyalty to a cornerstone figure with the responsibility of upholding standards that define the game. Supporters remain torn, some defending his legacy, hers demanding accountability. This man has long stood as a symbol of strength, but today he embodies the complex reality of leadership in professional sports. Inside the locker room, the shock has been profound. Teammates who relied on his presence now face questions about trust, leadership, and accountability. The Chiefs have built a culture centered on unity and belief, and this revelation disrupts that foundation. Younger players, looking up to veterans as role models, are confronted with a difficult lesson that even icons can falter. For seasoned athletes, disappointment mixes with determination as they weigh the need to hold teammates accountable against the importance of maintaining cohesion. The emotional impact extends beyond performance. It touches the very identity of the group. Football teams succeed not only because of skill, but because of shared values. When those values are tested, resilience becomes the true measure of strength. The locker room is now a place of whispered conversations, cautious optimism, and quiet frustration. How the Chiefs manage this internal response will determine whether they can move forward united or risk losing the chemistry that defines champions. Andy Reid, one of the NFL's most respected coaches, now faces an immense challenge. His leadership has long been celebrated for bringing calm, clarity, and creativity to Kansas City. Yet this revelation tests his role beyond tactics. He must manage the fallout of controversy while preparing his team to compete at the highest level. Reid's ability to shield players from distractions will be crucial as media scrutiny intensifies and fans demand explanations. His calm presence has guided the franchise through triumph and pressure, but this moment demands more than play-calling brilliance. It requires wisdom, empathy, and decisiveness. He must hold individuals accountable while ensuring the broader team does not fracture. For years, Reid has built trust with his roster, and that
trust will be his greatest tool now. If he can redirect focus toward resilience, Kansas City may emerge stronger. If not, the revelation could spiral into a distraction that overshadows the very identity of the Chiefs' dynasty. Patrick Mahomes has always been the face of Kansas City's success, and now his leadership carries even greater weight. The revelation involving a teammate puts pressure on him not only as a quarterback, but as the emotional anchor of the franchise. Mahomes has earned a reputation for composure under pressure, delivering brilliance when games hang in the balance. Yet this challenge is different. It is not about reading defenses or executing plays. It is about guiding teammates through turbulence. His words, his demeanor, and his actions will influence the locker room more than any statistic. Fans also look to him for reassurance, believing his leadership can steady the franchise through stormy waters. Mahomes cannot change what has happened. but he can shape how the Chiefs respond. In many ways, his legacy is now intertwined with how the team manages this revelation. For Kansas City, his strength may prove to be the deciding factor in whether disruption turns into renewed determination. The NFL community has reacted swiftly to the revelation, with voices from across the league weighing in. Rival teams, always alert to signs of weakness, now view Kansas City through a different lens. For years, they struggled to overcome the Chiefs' dominance, but now they sense an opening. Coaches analyze whether this disruption could tilt competitive balance, while players from other franchises express both surprise and empathy. Media outlets dissect every angle, turning the story into one of the most discussed events of the season. Beyond competition, league officials emphasize the importance of standards, reinforcing their commitment to integrity across all. The midst of building their legacy are tested earlier than expected. This revelation becomes part of their story, one that will be analyzed for years to come. Success in football is measured not only in trophies, but in responses to adversity. The Chiefs' ability to adapt, reform, and move forward will determine whether this moment is remembered as a fall or a foundation. History does not erase mistakes, but it honors resilience. Kansas City's choices now will shape their place in the evolving narrative of NFL greatness. The path ahead for Kansas City is clouded with uncertainty. The revelation has created questions that extend far beyond one season. Immediate concerns involve roster adjustments, morale, and performance, but longer-term issues include reputation, leadership, and culture. The Chiefs must navigate carefully, ensuring that their decisions today do not undermine their dominance tomorrow. For management, this means balancing accountability with stability. For players, it requires resilience and trust in leadership. Rivals will exploit even small weaknesses, knowing that Kansas City's dynasty is vulnerable. Yet within uncertainty lies opportunity. Adversity often sparks growth, pushing individuals and organizations to evolve in ways success never could. The Chiefs must decide whether they will allow disruption to derail their progress or use it as motivation to rebuild stronger. The NFL is unforgiving, but it also rewards those who adapt quickly. The next steps taken by Kansas City will determine whether they remain contenders or slide into decline. Every dynasty faces a moment that defines its true character. For the Kansas City Chiefs, this shocking revelation has become that moment. It challenges leadership, tests resilience, and exposes the fragile balance between success and accountability. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the entire org. Trust will be his greatest tool now. If he can redirect focus toward resilience, Kansas City may emerge stronger. If not, the revelation could spiral into a distraction that overshadows the very identity of the Chiefs' dynasty. Patrick Mahomes has always been the face of Kansas City's success, and now his leadership carries even greater weight. The revelation involving a teammate puts pressure on him not only as a quarterback, but as the emotional anchor of the franchise. Mahomes has earned a reputation for composure under pressure, delivering brilliance when games hang in the balance. Yet this challenge is different. It is not about reading defenses or executing plays. It is about guiding teammates through turbulence. His words, his demeanor, and his actions will influence the locker room more than any statistic. Fans also look to him for reassurance, believing his leadership can steady the franchise through stormy waters. Mahomes cannot change what has happened,